LBC. I'm Thomas Watts.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation. The Nigel Farage Show.
Mr. Nigel Farage.
Thank you, Donald. Good evening, everybody. Well, Boris Johnson today off to Northern Ireland, but in an attempt to set the agenda, the leader of Sinn Féin, Mary Lou McDonald, spoke last night saying that if there is a no-deal Brexit and that led to a hard border, then there should be a referendum on, as she describes it, Irish unity. Let's hear Mary Lou McDonald.
If the British government have factored into their calculations a hard border, then they must factor in also a unity referendum as laid out in the Good Friday Agreement. Because the route back for the North into the European Union is clear. Irish unity is the route back to the EU. We will meet Boris Johnson in the coming days, and we will remind him not only of the need to respect the wishes of the majority to remain within the European Union, but we will also remind him of his obligations under the Good Friday Agreement and subsequent agreements, including the provision of a unity referendum. Brexit has re-exposed the folly of partition, and it reinforces the need for Irish unity.
So be clear, Sinn Féin, of course, want a united Ireland. They do not wish to be part of the United Kingdom. That's clear. And they are using Brexit in every way they can to push for this border poll, this Irish unity referendum, as she describes it. A couple of points to make on what she said. Firstly, she said if the British government are factoring in a hard border, they're not, Mary Lou. They are not. No one's talking about a hard border. We're not talking about it. Mr Farage in Dublin's not talking about it. Monsieur Barnier's not talking about it. Even Donald Trump is not going to come and build a wall. And the other fascination of this, and one of the reasons why Brexit and Northern Ireland is so complicated, is this. Historically, Sinn Féin were an anti-EU party. I shared a platform with Mary Lou McDonald in the second Irish referendum on the Lisbon Treaty. I'm going back nearly 10 years, and we sat together and we spoke against some Irish ministers. And at the time, Sinn Féin were wholly opposed to Ireland, in whatever form, being part of the European Union because they're Irish nationalists. And yet, over the last decade, there has been an extraordinary turnaround in Sinn Féin's position, and they are now a pro-EU party. And that is what's making Brexit in Northern Ireland so very, very difficult. 56% of Northern Ireland voted to remain in that referendum. In response to what she said, the DUP leader, Arlene Foster, today talked about the backstop.
We very much hope that our new Prime Minister will deal with the issue. He will get across to those in Europe, and particularly in Dublin, the fact that they cannot break up the United Kingdom, because essentially that's what the backstop was doing. It was breaking Northern Ireland away, both in economic terms and indeed in constitutional terms, which of course runs completely contrary to the Belfast Agreement and the principle of consent, which says that for as long as the people of Northern Ireland wish to remain within the United Kingdom, they should do so. And the backstop was running a coach and horses through that, and therefore it is very important that the backstop goes.
So tonight with you, I want to debate. Should an Irish unity referendum take place in the event of a no-deal Brexit? And if you think, yep, it's absolutely what has to happen, call 0345 6060 973. Maybe you think, actually, it would be a very dangerous, wrong thing to do, and there's no evidence, actually, that the North would vote to leave the United Kingdom. Text to 84850. And if somebody else has got another solution to the backstop, well, please tweet using the hashtag Farage and LBC at LBC. You can watch us, of course, on Facebook, YouTube and Twitter, and comment there too. And I'm particularly keen to get callers from Northern Ireland and the Republic to tell me how you would feel about such a referendum taking place. Would it need to take place? Is it necessary or unnecessary? Before I go to your calls, I'm going to go to Eamon McDermott, a freelance journalist based in Northern Ireland, who has been covering a lot of contentious events over the years. Eamon, good evening to you.
Good evening.
Seems to me that Sinn Féin rather set the agenda for Boris's trip.
Well, they did sort of preempt them and get in there and set the agenda that way. But I mean, Boris also set the agenda by having dinner last night with the DUP, which for a so-called neutral guarantor of the Good Friday Agreement that seemed to be taking one side over another. So I think there's a lot of game playing going on by all sides in this current debate.
And I mean, has the Brexit vote led? Is there evidence that the Brexit vote has led in Northern Ireland to more people thinking that they should leave the UK?
Well, it's hard to quantify that, but I would say anecdotally, yes, there's people definitely. They put the whole issue of United Ireland on the agenda, which hadn't been since basically the Good Friday Agreement. That sort of things had settled down on that issue. There was the we'll wait and see attitude. Brexit then, suddenly, when Brexit happened, a lot of people started saying, hold on a minute, we don't want to leave the EU. And if the choices are become between leaving the EU or leaving the UK, well, a lot of people are saying, well, let's bye-bye UK. But whether it's a majority there or not, we don't know.
Remains to be seen.
But it's definitely growing.
And of course, the legislation, Eamon, says that a referendum on that question would only be asked if the Secretary of State, who is Julian Smith now, thought there would be a majority for it. So the ball on this is very firmly in Boris Johnson's government's court, isn't it?
Of course, it always has been. I mean, the mechanism of the Good Friday Agreement wasn't designed to hand over control to anybody else. The British government was still going to be in control and still be able to call the shots on issues such as the referendum. But there is a growing feeling that a lot of people, even like some moderate unions, again, hard to quantify, but moderate unions begin to feel that their future lies in the EU, and if that means Irish unification, then that could be the road they go down.
And if there was, let's just suppose there was to be a referendum on this issue, what would that do to peace and stability in Northern Ireland?
Well, like anything in this part of the world, any major constitutional question is very, very contentious. Now, I don't think it would lead to a renewed outbreak of violence or anything else. I mean, I do think that Brexit has potential to increase dissident violence because they see this as an opportunity to show the physical manifestation of the British presence. But at the minute, I mean, you could live quite easily in Northern Ireland and never feel either British presence, Irish presence, or any other presence because it's just a fairly normal society. But if you have Brexit, if you have any sort of border controls, then the distance will be able to say, oh, look, we told you the British are still here, we're a divided island, and that could play into their hands. But I don't think it's going to result in major upheaval. I think you'd have a lot of animosity in the arguments because obviously the likes of DUP will be opposed to a yes vote for Irish unity. Sinn Féin will be very much in favour of a yes vote for Irish unity. You would have very contentious debates. You would have a lot. But what's new?
Well, OK, no, in the case of Irish politics and Northern Irish politics, I get the point. Eamon, thank you. That was Eamon McDermott, freelance journalist based in Northern Ireland. I'm now going to go and speak to David McNary, a former member of the Northern Ireland Assembly for Strangford. He was leader of UKIP in Northern Ireland. And David, good evening and welcome to LBC. And you worked with David Trimble, did you not, to get this Belfast Agreement, this Good Friday Agreement in place?
As they say, and hello Nigel, and lovely to hear your voice again. As they say in Northern Ireland, a number of us, and a hell of a lot of us, worked our butt off for peace. This is now all being thrown back on our faces. A unity referendum that Mary Lou McDonald's talking about would be a disaster. It would wreck and destroy that peace, and being a unionist as I am, it would be a vote for my survival. That's the stakes, and that's how high she's actually putting these stakes. Now, my assessment, Nigel, is that whilst Arlene Foster is doing a good job, she's protecting the integrity of the union and holding Parliament together with the DUP confidence and supply arrangement. But she's coming under very close scrutiny over the agitation being fired at unionists by Mary Lou McDonald. She's the Sinn Féin leader, and she's using this Remain vote to push for a border poll. Can I tell you, maybe Nigel and your audience, and you were right, the Secretary of State's the only person to decide whether it's right or not. The news in Northern Ireland today, while the Prime Minister's here, is that the Northern Ireland office, which serves the Prime Minister and serves the Secretary of State, has removed all photos of Her Majesty the Queen in the government office in Belfast in case nationalists are offended. Can I tell you, that's just making unionist anger palpable. It is just in your face. The peace was won, but at what a price?
Because it happened to the RUC, I know it did. David, can I ask you, I mean, yes, of course, this decision as to whether a border poll should be called does rest under the legislation with Julian Smith, but I suppose in a sense it rests with Boris Johnson, really. Do you trust Boris Johnson to... And he's got a difficult job coming up this autumn. I mean, no great parliamentary majority, splits in his own party, an absolute commitment from Boris to deliver Brexit on the 31st of October. And I guess a cynic might say that one of the ways that Boris could deliver Brexit and satisfy Brussels, outrageous though I think their demands are, is he could rather betray Northern Ireland. Do you feel as a unionist that there is a risk of that?
We came very close to that betrayal under Theresa May. Many of the same people are still in office, and the betrayal was that she was going to annex Northern Ireland, turn us into some kind of EU satellite, and keep the backstop in place. I am concerned, and I think I speak for a lot of unionist people. We actually haven't heard Boris say that's not going to happen. What he's saying is that the backstop's not going to happen. What he's saying is we'll be out of the EU come Halloween. But he's giving no actual promises to Arlene Foster and her supply and confidence arrangement that says that the possibility is. And I've heard people on your programme earlier in the week talking about Scotland.
Yes.
And suggesting that, maybe the English really don't care about the Scots. Can I appeal to the English, please care about this little place of mine called Northern Ireland, in that we're part of the United Kingdom. You sent your soldiers and your sons here. Many of them didn't come back, and I lost a couple of very, very good friends to terrorism. But this is who we are. This is what the union's all about. I really don't believe, much as I want to, Nigel, that Boris can be trusted to the extent that he would not turn his back on Northern Ireland. And when the government that he served in, and bear in mind he voted for the bloomin' deal at the third crack. He did. But when push came to shove there, Theresa May was quite prepared to sacrifice Northern Ireland. Yeah, that's breaking up the union.
I have to say, David, I do share your concern. It does seem to me, for Boris, it could be the easy way out. David Manary, thank you very much for joining us. Well, you've heard two very clear voices there. This is going to be a big issue. Sinn Féin, politically, much stronger than they've been in the past. The demographics of Northern Ireland have changed significantly over the course of the last few years, and she really, in many ways, led that political agenda today in Northern Ireland. Politically clever, some would say, actually, that it's dangerous, that it's agitating a situation, but at some point, this is one of the big questions that Boris Johnson is going to have to answer. Should Boris Johnson's government offer a border poll referendum in the event of a no-deal Brexit? I'll be back to you and your calls in a moment. But for now, you're listening to The Nigel Farage Show here on LBC at 6:16, and time for the news headlines with Thomas Watts.
An inquiry's found that failures to learn from mistakes perpetuated decades of child abuse in Nottinghamshire. The Prime Minister has urged Northern Irish leaders to seal a power-sharing deal. Ryanair has warned staff to prepare for job losses in the coming weeks because it has a surplus of pilots and cabin crew. Mostly clear and cool tonight, with showers clearing from the northeast of England and western Scotland, a low of 9 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Louise Knight, and there's a 14-mile queue on the clockwise M25, still from the M11 at 27 to emergency repairs before the QE2 bridge. Only one lane is open. On the Surrey stretch clockwise, it's queuing from the M23 at 7 to an accident before Leatherhead at junction 9. In Abbey Wood, an accident's blocking Woolwich Road westbound at New Road, and a large burst water main in East Wickham has shut Wickham Lane both ways. Things have improved on the tube, just minor delays now on the Circle and Hammersmith and City lines, and on the trains, South Eastern have delays of half an hour at Charlton.
This is LBC.
Sometimes it's hard to spot a good deal. Like this one I'm holding up here, for example. It says... oh, it's upside down. Hang on. Join PlusNet today and get a free £60 reward card when you buy PlusNet Fibre. Ah, that's nice. For all our great value deals on fixed price contracts, search PlusNet Fibre now. Offer ends 6th of August. PlusNet will do you proud. That's quite a big sign. Oh, what's this little bit at the bottom? 18-month contract, new customers in low-cost areas only, £5 activation fee, reward card claim by email and within 2 months, terms apply, visit plus.net. That's good to know.
This is LBC.
Football is back on Sky Sports.
With our total football offer, you get all our football for just £18 extra a month.
Absolutely amazing.
Sky Sports has more live games than ever before and more of the biggest fixtures. That means more passion, more drama, more glory. All for just £18 extra a month.
And it's live.
Search by Sky Sports. Sky Sports Football and Premier League, £18 a month for 18 months. Requires Sky TV. Prices may change during this period. Offer ends September 26th.
Swimsuit tick, sun cream tick, holiday money, big tick. Right, I'm off to pick up all the holiday bits from M&S.
What about the holiday money?
I'm picking that up from M&S too. They've got a new click and collect travel money service. It's just so easy.
I didn't know M&S did travel money.
Oh, there's a lot you don't know. Like how many outfits I've ordered. M&S Bank's new click and collect travel money service gives you our best exchange rates with preferential rates for M&S cardholders. Order online and collect in store. £250 minimum order. Terms and conditions apply. Search M&S Travel Money.
One for Mum, one for Becky, two for me.
Pretty generous to yourself there, Dad.
Well, I am the chef, and you're helping out, so you get two as well.
Thanks, Dad.
Shh, your mum will hear.
At Shell Energy, we like to play favourites with everyone, so our home energy customers can get exclusive rewards, like money off fuel at Shell service stations. Search Shell Energy. Home energy matters. Terms and conditions apply. Visit shellenergy.co.uk.
There's nothing like meeting face-to-face. And there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do business across town or around the world. Zoom ties together all of your communication needs into one easy platform for video conferencing, phone calls, group chat, webinars, and your conference rooms. Connect easily from anywhere. Your mobile phone, your laptop, or conference room. Zoom is how business gets done. Get your free account at zoom.com today. Meet happy with Zoom.
This is LBC, the Nigel Farage Show. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
Whether the UK had voted Brexit or not, Mary Lou McDonald of Sinn Féin would be pushing for a border poll and would be pushing for Northern Ireland to leave the United Kingdom. But she sees, through Brexit, an opportunity. Sinn Féin, who are the born-again European Unionists, having been opposed to it for the entire existence of their party. Your comments coming in. Ireland is best unified. It is one Ireland and England is another. Always was. As an Irishman living in London, I fully support Brexit. I also believe in Irish unification and Ireland leaving the EU. Yeah, but at the moment, Ireland's not going to leave the EU. Although, worth remembering that twice the Irish people in the last 20 years have voted against European treaties in referendums, only to be made to vote again. Adam in Leeds says, you're risking splitting the union because of your campaign. You're risking peace in Ireland and return to the Troubles. You'll deny this and not read out my message. I just did, Adam. And I'll read out any of your critical messages, provided you don't use four-letter words and you're not abusive. Adam, actually, when it comes to the peace argument, let me just repeat the point. There is not going to be a hard border in Northern Ireland. There are not going to be soldiers and checkpoints. It isn't happening, all right? It isn't happening. The only difference, if we left on WTO terms, would be some tariffs to pay, which, of course, would be logged in by lorry drivers on their mobile phones. And the idea we'd have to stop goods coming into the Republic to check they weren't substandard. I mean, the UK's not. We're not a third world country, and we start on day one with absolutely parallel regulations. What does worry me slightly is I do worry that if there was a border poll, that might be a genuine risk to peace, and I am actually a little bit concerned about that. Jared from Southall says to me, I'm an Englishman, but I care passionately about Northern Ireland. I love the province and the people and desperately want them to remain part of the United Kingdom. Jared, I'm a unionist too. I feel exactly the same way that you do. Let's go to Belfast and speak to Mark. Mark, good evening to you.
Good evening, old man. How are you?
I am well. Well, it's been a pretty contentious day in Northern Irish politics, and indeed in Irish politics, where I noticed that the Taoiseach's popularity is not exactly going through the roof as a result of the way that he's handled Brexit. Mark, I mean, Mary Lou McDonald, she's a clever politician. I will give her that. But it's quite dangerous the way she's playing this, isn't it?
It is, obviously, yes. And one thing I'd like to point out, first of all, to any Irish people who are listening, particularly in the Republic, is that 86% of our laws do not come from Dáil Éireann, the currently suspended Assembly, nor indeed Westminster. They come from Brussels by those who we do not elect and cannot elect. While of the remaining 14%, all of them have to comply with the diktat of the European Union. So essentially, there's no such thing as the Republic of Ireland. It is simply a state within a United States.
Well, it's a member state, isn't it, of an EU? Yeah. So
that's all, just like Ohio.
So, Mark, you are profoundly Eurosceptic. Can I ask which side of the community in Belfast you come from?
I'm born and reared on the Catholic community.
So you're from the Catholic?
I pointed out to you before, and I prefer if you didn't mention it now, that I have some dreadfully Republican background in my family.
I remember. I've got you now. Yes. Okay. So you're one of those. So you're one of those. You're one of those people from the Catholic divide. Can you explain to me why Sinn Féin have gone from being so Eurosceptic they shared a platform with me to being in favour of the EU? Money. Do you know, Mark, I was going to say that, but I hope somebody else would. I have to say that the European Union is very, very good at dishing out largesse. Mark, where does all of this go, in your opinion?
Well, where it goes is that ordinary Republicans, people like myself, I'm not working class any longer, thank God, but people who are working class in West Belfast, in Cregan and Derry, in where I'm from, in Mid-Ulster, are struggling day and daily to make ends meet. But their leaders, the political leaders, have all the money they want because it's coming in from alternative sources, without a shadow of doubt. William Jefferson and his wife and certain other sources.
Mark, you're suggesting that the Sinn Féin leadership have sold out. That's what you're saying, isn't it?
Precisely, yes.
Yeah, OK. Mark, thank you. Well, very strong opinions there. From Mark in Belfast. Kevin is a new caller from Westmoreland in Kent. Kevin, hello there.
Hello, Nigel. Lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, welcome.
Just really wanted to, I guess, share with you my thoughts. I think if there is any vote in Ireland, I think that's really very much for the people of Ireland to decide, and the people of the south of Ireland, and equally the people of north of Ireland to decide. But I think what this is doing more importantly is unearthing that the delivery of Brexit is so much more complicated than anyone ever imagined. And I'm not sure it's possible, Nigel. And I know you're going to hate that, but I just don't see how we can deliver Brexit and keep Ireland safe, secure and peaceful. Because even now, when people are saying, in terms of the US, they're saying no trade deal because Congress will not agree anything that will interrupt or go against the Good Friday Agreement.
So there are Democrats saying that they would not support a free trade deal with the United Kingdom if effectively a hard border was put back between the Republic and Northern Ireland. Kevin, there isn't going to be a hard border, OK?
What is there going to be, Nigel? There has to be a border. You
Kevin,
wanted to take back control. How do you take...
Kevin, Nigel,
how do you take back control with a 315-mile border, open border, with people able to cross freely and smuggle.
Kevin,
how is that taking back control,
if you and
Nigel?
I went to that border now, right now...
How many times have you crossed that border, Nigel?
Many. If you and I
How
went...
many times?
Don't say
many.
Kevin, if you're not going to... I tell you what, if you're not going to listen... If you're not going to listen, I'll get somebody else on. No, I've listened for a long time.
I'll listen.
Kevin, if we went to the border right now, okay, you would find no physical structure, as you well know.
I do, indeed.
But you would find, from one side of a field to the other, or one side of a road to the other, right now today, you would find different income tax rates. You would find different excise duties on tobacco, alcohol, elsewhere, and other things. You would find different corporation tax rates. And you would find also a different currency. All right? Now, when it comes to people, remember that ever since the establishment of the Republic, there's been a common travel area between Ireland and the rest of the United Kingdom.
I believe.
And so basically, getting on for 100 years, and Kevin, they are not part of Schengen. All right? Now, I think ever since the Belfast Agreement, and we had David McNary on earlier, who helped to negotiate that and was considered by many on his own side in the Unionists to be sort of treacherous for having done it, but we've had 20 much, much better years. And on a good day, you can walk through Belfast and it feels like any other British city. It operates on the principle of live and let live, and that will continue.
I'm not convinced it will continue because I was there as a child. My mother is from Kilkenny. My father was from Belfast. I crossed that border when there were soldiers and it was a hard physical border, and I've seen the horrors and my family have experienced the horrors of what happened in those troubled times. It's not so simple as that. History does not just simply erase itself, Nigel. I think you need to understand that.
Well, let's turn it round the other way, Kevin.
I believe you do.
Let's turn it round the other way. You tell me why there would need to be a hard border.
Because to trade within the World Trade Organization rules and regulations, you need to demonstrate that you can control your borders.
But you do that because people will put in customs declarations.
Which will need a border, a hard border. Nigel.
There is a border there now. I mean,
Nigel.
There is a border. Kevin,
Nigel,
here's the issue. Here's the issue.
No.
Here's the issue. Do we need a hard border? The answer is no.
To trade in the World Trade Organization rules, you need a hard border because you need to regulate what comes across.
Yeah,
that
and
border.
also under World Trade, under World Trade Organization rules.
Nigel, you're just dismissing a fact, Nigel.
Let me tell you a fact. Under World Trade Organization rules, in areas of political.
Getting behind madness.
You haven't read this, have you? In areas of political sensitivity, different operations can be put in place. Thank you. And Geneva are hardly going to want to provoke conflict in Northern Ireland. Look, Kevin, I think there is a sensible way through this. There's a compromise through this.
To want to promote conflict.
Well, then we're very fortunate, aren't we?
The feelings on either side of that border will drive that conflict.
Well, we're very fortunate, aren't we, that the World Trade Organization, within their rules, have that provision for areas of political sensitivity. Kevin, I've got to run because it is 6:30 and it's time for the news with Thomas Watts.
A highly critical report has found that predatory care staff in Nottinghamshire were able to abuse children for decades. It also found complaints made to the police were not treated with sufficient seriousness. Sinn Féin has repeated a demand for a public poll on Irish reunification in the event of a no-deal Brexit. The Prime Minister has held talks with the major Stormont parties to discuss Brexit and the restoration of power sharing. Police in Essex have identified a sixth death that's believed to be linked to Class A drugs. 3 men and 3 women have died within a 6-mile radius since Sunday. LBC weather. Showers and thunderstorms should ease in western Scotland and northeast England tonight. Clear and cool elsewhere, a low of 9 Celsius.
This is LBC.
LBC Business Hour with Ian Dale. Every Thursday evening from 8, answering questions from new startups to established companies.
When it comes to selling your startup business, nobody can actually have that passion that you've got for it yourself. For me, that's why the startup failure rate is high, because they don't know how to market and sell themselves, and if they don't sell, they don't have a business.
LBC Business Hour with Vodafone Business. Unlimited data plans specifically for small businesses. LBC.
There's nothing like meeting face to face. And there's nothing like Zoom to make that happen. Zoom lets you connect and do business across town or around the world. Zoom ties together all of your communication needs into one easy platform for video conferencing, phone calls, group chat, webinars, and your conference rooms. Connect easily from anywhere, your mobile phone, your laptop, or conference room. Zoom is how business gets done. Get your free account at zoom.com today. Meet happy with Zoom.
Builder Ali spent his 40-year career whistling as he worked. Then he was offered a free pension review from what he thought was a reputable firm. But it was a scammer, and his lifetime savings was stolen.
Oi! Waiter! Another bottle of champers over here.
Don't let a scammer endure your retirement. Check who you're dealing with. Visit ScamSmart from the Financial Conduct Authority.
Days and weeks can fly by, but if you're worried it's cancer, time can slow down and almost stop. That's why, with Bupa Health Insurance, you can call us about any symptom of cancer without seeing your GP first. Depending on your cover and your symptoms, we could even refer you to a consultant there and then. Bupa Health Insurance. For living. To find out more, search Bupa. Direct access services may not be available for some underwriting methods, and you may need to provide evidence the conditions are not pre-existing.
Is 2019 the most confusing year ever? Fake lips, speaking fake news, eating fake meat. Let's put it to a vote. After vote, after vote. But are we being listened to by our home devices?
No.
They don't have the answer. Get past the confusion with the Confused.com Beat Your Renewal Quote Guarantee. If you can't beat your renewal quote, you get the difference plus £20. Don't be confused. Be Confused.com. T's and C's online, single annual policies only.
Leading Britain's conversation. The Nigel Farage Show. Tweet at LBC using the hashtag Farage on LBC.
Northern Irish politics as contentious as ever, and some beginning to wonder what Boris Johnson might do. Could he perhaps potentially sort of just push Northern Ireland off to the side? And would his Secretary of State Julian Smith consider calling a border poll on whether Northern Ireland stays part of the United Kingdom? I've made my position clear. I am a unionist. I think even if there was a poll, I don't believe they would vote to leave. But it is a contentious issue. Talking of Boris, so he's now been our Prime Minister for just over a week. He has been making it very clear, we are leaving on the 31st of October, do or die. And he's been optimistic and upbeat and bullish, and Brexiteers, a lot of them are saying, hooray! At last we've got somebody who actually believes in it, who's positive.